Hey, what is going on everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you are having a wonderful day. Now in today's video, we are going to talk about a very common question that occurs or comes up on this channel quite often. And that question is, what is the best or easiest programming language to learn in the year of 2018? So I have a couple of different things that I want to talk about in today's video regarding this question, but the typical answer that you'll hear is it really depends on what you're trying to do. And so in my honest opinion, picking the correct programming language for you is kind of like picking a mate in life, picking a wife or a husband. You really have to consider a couple of different factors to make sure that it's the correct fit for you. So I have compiled a list of 5 things that I want to talk about so that you can make sure that you are kind of making the correct decision in picking the right programming language. Now, the number one thing that you should really consider here is whether or not the programming language is easy to get up and running. So let's take iOS development for example here. The 3 things that you should focus on is the Xcode editor, the Swift programming language, and the iOS simulator itself. Now, a lot of people can pretty much agree on the fact that Xcode is very easy to run. All you have to do is you hit the run button on the top left, it'll compile your code and it'll launch it onto the simulator. Now, Xcode is also very useful in identifying where your code is incorrect, and it'll flag you with this little red error sign to kind of tell you, okay, I think that you should modify your code to this so that you can get your project up and running. So getting your code to work in terms of iOS development is super easy. That's why a lot of people like being inside of iOS development. So getting up and running is very important. So the second thing that you should really think about here is whether or not you have access to good resources that are easy for you to follow. So for example, if you have access to things such as blog posts, videos, or really good documentation, that goes a long way in pushing you into the right direction, where you can start from knowing nothing about a specific programming language to, building up the foundations that you need to become good at it. So what I'm really talking about here is first you kind of have to learn about variables, how to declare them, and then declare functions, learn about for loops, and then you slowly advance onto the more difficult subjects. Now, the third thing on the list is whether or not you actually enjoy the projects you're building through the tutorials that you're following. If you find it really boring to be building a website or building an iOS application, I kind of recommend that you move away from those resources and try to look for something that you genuinely enjoy. So for me, when I was getting into programming, a lot of you guys might already know this, but I started out with Flash programming and building out games because I really enjoyed graphics and I really enjoyed playing games. So I was able to find a resource that kind of merged these two philosophies and these two approaches together to build something that I actually wanted to use and play. So if you're able to find something that you like doing, make sure you do that and don't try to follow tutorials that you find really boring just for the sake of it, and you'll be much better off if you think in this fashion. Alrighty, so we are almost at the very end of the list here, but the fourth thing that you should really consider is whether or not you can feel like you're making progress after each lesson or each tutorial that you're following. So for me personally, and for a lot of my students, it's really important to make sure that you can track the progress from where you started at and where you're at right now. So in the very beginning, you probably most likely don't know how to write vars or let variables, and then slowly you kind of learn that, and then you can see that, okay, I can learn functions, and now I can learn table views, right? So if you don't have this easy way of kind of tracking where you are, then it's really easy to start losing motivation, and then you start losing inspiration as well, and then you can really easily just give up entirely. So make sure that there's an easy way for you to kind of track what your progress is. Okay, so the last and final point that not a lot of people actually think about is you should really consider finding a safe place for you to get constructive feedback and constructive criticism on your code. So for me, when I was first starting out, there were a lot of design forums where I can actually post my Photoshop work and post my Flash work, and a lot of people were willing to spend their time and give critique on how I can improve things and do things better. So if you're in a safe place where you can find feedback that is helpful, that is super important for your development as an iOS programmer. So make sure you're in a safe place and you're not getting a lot of just negative criticism. That's actually not that helpful. So make sure you remove yourself from that type of environment and find somewhere that's actually healthy where you can thrive. Alrighty everybody, that is going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you found these 5 tips on how to select the right programming language helpful. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to the channel. That's going to be it for today. I will see you in the very next video. Bye bye guys.